So we've been using the analysis tool pack or the data analysis add-in that you see here to get these descriptive statistics. But Excel has built in many great statistical functions that you can use to basically get the same information. So I'd like to show you how these functions work because you may prefer them. Now, if we're going to refer to data often, it often helps to name the data. So in other words, here's our Cisco data right here. Okay, so if I want to color that right there, wouldn't it be nice if I could just name that and then I don't have to keep pointing to it? I could actually just type the name of the data in there. Or actually, there's a shortcut using the F3 key to paste the range name in. So if I select this range of my data, and I can go to this name box here and I can type, let's say, Cisco right there and hit enter. Now I've named that data Cisco. So if I go to that name box here and I click on Cisco, it highlights the data. So basically, I could of course point to this data all the time, but if I'm somewhere else in the workbook, then basically it'd be nice to just use the name. And the F3 key lets you paste a name in a formula. And this is very useful. So let's really duplicate with Excel functions what we got from the analysis tool pack. Okay, so how would I get the mean for Cisco? I could use average is the function. Now I can actually just type the word Cisco. I mean, Excel would autocomplete that. It understands the range name, so I can use that F3 trick or just point to the data. But I'll average Cisco there. Okay, now this is an annoying thing. Excel thinks it's a date. Okay, so I'm going to format all these things to be a couple of decimal points. Control 1 brings up format cells, and I can make these all be, let's say, 4 decimal points. Okay, so you can see that matches exactly what I had there. Now, a neat feature starting Excel 2013 is I can show you the formulas with formula text. If I click formula text, you're basically going to see the formula there. Okay. Now, what about the median? There's a function called median that gives you the median. And I can hit F3 now. I'm hitting F3 key. See, there's Cisco. And basically, I can just paste that name in there. See, it highlights the data in blue. And I could just copy that formula text down here. Now the mode, there are a bunch of mode functions because mode is most frequently occurring value. There could be more than one mode. I don't want to get into that. Our readings in the data analysis book talk about that. But let's just use the mode function. See, there's a couple of them here. It's just not worth the complications. But I'd say mode, and basically a mode of Cisco, or I could use that F3 trick. And see, that matches what we've got here. Standard deviation, the function is stdv. This time I'll use F3, paste in Cisco. And I'm not sure which is easier, F3 or typing it. That's 12.2%. And the variance, use VAR function. I'll type Cisco. That matches what we have here. Now, I'll talk about kurtosis briefly. It's not too important. It sounds like a fatal disease. She has kurtosis. She has 3 months to live. But skewness, there's a function, skew, and I'll do Cisco, and that matches the skewness. The formula, by the way, if you type in a function in Excel, go to the function wizard and you want to know more, you can click on help and you can see the ugly skewness formula, but I don't think we really need to know it. There's the ugly skewness formula. We just need to know what it does. Okay, so then I could do formula text again here. And kurtosis basically measures the shape of the histogram, whether it looks like a bell curve. When it's near 0, the kurtosis means that it looks like a bell curve. When it's not near 0, it doesn't look like a bell curve. This can be important when you're looking at stock returns to see if they have what's called fat tails. They're spread out more than the bell curve. But just to show you, there is a function for this, although nothing that we're going to give you for homework or exams will involve this. But basically, you should know this function's available if you're a finance quant jock or jockette. That would be important. Okay, now we got a couple more functions we want to show you here before we go on to the next video, which will deal with some more Excel statistical functions in a different file. But often we want to know percentiles of a data set. So the 90th percentile on Cisco, what does that mean? That means 9 out of 10 months below that, 1 in 10 above that. Okay? The 10th percentile means 1 in 10 below, 9 in 10 above. So there's a couple of functions that do this. So if I type in percent, there's a percentile, okay, .exe and percentile.inc. Now, the book explains the difference between these. It's pretty complicated, but the .exe I think is considered a better one. Microsoft added this I think in 2013. So we'll use that one. And so then I would basically type in the range name, which is Cisco, and then I want the 90th percentile, I type in 0.9. So roughly this should be a pretty good return of 9 out of 10 months or worse, and 1 out of 10 months or above that. So 21% return. 1 out of 10 months, roughly, Cisco does better than 20.6%. 9 out of 10 months, Cisco does worse than 20.6%. Now, sometimes we don't want to know where a data point ranks in a data set, basically what percentile. So I look at row 153, no reason, but it was a bad month. Cisco lost 14%. So the question is, where does that row rank? Probably pretty badly as a percentile. So there's a percent rank function, okay, not to be confused with the percentile function. Let me just show you again the formula text there. Okay, so if I want to know where August 1998 ranked, I can do percent rank, percent, and then rank.exe I prefer. Okay, now the array is again Cisco, and F153 was the value. The significance has no significance. It's how many decimal points you want. Really not very important. Okay, so it's basically 4.5% of the months roughly were worse than August 1998. So it was indeed a bad month. Now people sometimes get confused by percentile and percent rank. So basically what you should know is percentile returns a value from the data set, like a stock return. Percent rank returns, in a sense, a probability. In other words, there's a 4.5% chance that basically a month would be worse than that minus 14%. But the percentile returns a value of the data set, which I can make a percentage. If I do control 1, I can make that into percentage. Now in the next video, we're going to show you a couple of more Excel functions that can be very useful to you when you analyze data.